YouTube is Goddess. I'm doing the recap review for Couples Retreat Season 3, Episode 2 on MTV. So they're continuing on from last episode with Shamari and Ronnie. And they're still on gaslighting. He keeps saying she's gaslighting. And Shamari's still not agreeing with him, saying, I'm not. What are you talking about? I'm not gaslighting. I don't never gaslight you. What you mean? She said, I don't agree. And she said, I don't know what it is. What you're talking about. I'm not doing that. And then Ronnie's like that's you don't listen. You don't listen. And then she said, well, you don't listen either. So they're still arguing. And Tony's like, do you agree with what she's saying? Yeah, I agree with what she's saying about me. She said, and then Ronnie was asking her, so you mean to tell me that at no time during the time we argue, can you be wrong about anything? And she's like, no. And then he said, really? And then Shamari was trying to say, okay. Then AJ and Tony was still talking to him. And then basically Shamari was saying she agrees with him now that she could be wrong. She can be wrong. At first she said no, but then she changed her mind. He said, see, that's what I'm talking about, that gaslighting. And then AJ was telling him, well, she can change her mind. She could be wrong. She could change her mind. And then it was like they were just basically heated, but then they calmed down. Then Jalen and Fallon were looking like, whoa, they got into it real bad. And then they stopped kind of arguing. So for me, I just feel like Ronnie is using the gaslighting line around real casually. And what she was doing was not gaslighting, though. How she gaslighting because she doesn't agree with what you're saying. That's not gaslighting. Gaslighting is like if you're basically like making somebody look a certain way and saying that they're saying it and making them look like what they're saying is not true. It's like basically if I have a argument with someone and I'm saying this point and they're telling me that's not the point that I'm saying, and I'm constantly trying to downplay what they're saying and make it seem like it's more than what they really different from what they're really saying, basically making them look as if they're contradicting what they're saying. They're not saying what they're saying when they really are. And I'm trying to keep messing with them, and I'm coming at them. I'm gaslighting them because I'm saying, oh no, you're not saying that. You're saying such and such, but that's not what they're saying. We're misrepresenting basically what's being said and saying this is being said when it's not, and that's gaslighting the person because then I'm irritating the person because I'm saying they're saying this, but that's not what they're saying. But I'm saying that that's what they're saying, but that's not what they're saying. So that's gaslighting. That's not what she's doing. She just doesn't agree with you. That's not gaslighting, sir. And then AJ meets with them separately and come to find out Ron doesn't know what gaslighting is. And Shamari doesn't know what gaslighting either. So you're saying she's gaslighting, but then you don't even know what gaslighting is. And AJ had to tell you what gaslighting is. So why are you using gaslighting in a conversation with each other if that's not what's happening? I'm just like, okay. See, that can be a problem. Like you're saying I'm doing something that I'm not doing. So technically, in a sense, he was the one that was gaslighting because he was misrepresenting what was being said and misrepresenting what she was doing. And she was not doing what he said that she was doing. So he's really gaslighting, like she said. Like, Ronnie, please, you're gaslighting, not her. You clearly showed gaslighting on your own. She was not gaslighting. What are you talking about? So I just went to that point just to go based off of the fact that they were going back and forth and to get that point. And then they were still at the Word event. So then they went to Fallon and Jalen, and they were talking about they're having intimacy issues, and she's leading. She has to lead for that, and that she doesn't think that he cares, basically. And he's like, he's not financially right. So when he's not with that, he's not into having sex, basically, if he's not right money-wise, basically. So he feels like he needs to be right that way in order to, be sexual with his lady. And then Kendra in the confession seems like, oh yeah, I can understand that because when your money ain't right, you ain't gonna feel right either. But my whole thing is, even if he doesn't feel right, she said that they used to sleep around with each other 7 times a day. So I know that they financially were not on point that whole time when they were having sex like that. When people were in the beginning of honeymoon stage, people don't even be at the right situation in their relationship. Sometimes people meeting up at hotels and sleeping around with each other. Sometimes people were doing spontaneous stuff and meeting each other. It's like people are doing all types of stuff when they're at the beginning, and stuff don't all be all the way right, but yet they were still having sex 7 times a day. So I feel like he's just making excuses. Like there is something else going on besides what he's saying, because there's no way possible that that's stopping you from having sex with your lady. Finances is not going to stop you from sleeping with somebody. I'm sorry, especially with men's cases. Men will sleep with a woman that don't barely have nothing, her shit together. Even when some men don't have their shit together, they're still sleeping with her because she was married and you were her best friend, and then y'all ended up getting together. And then, so how did y'all end up getting together if now all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, my finances gotta be together for me to... It's just like, I just feel like he's just making excuses. He don't be intimate with her because he's just not feeling their relationship and he's just not in the mood. I think that's what it is. I don't think it has anything to do with what he's saying. It has to do with it. It's just like, boy, what? Then they went to Apollo and Shireen. I think that's how you say Shireen, I think. And then they had on both of them, they had different things. So he had on his emotional trauma, control, trying to change him. And then Shireen had micromanaging and control there for hers. So that was their words and what they need to work on. Then they have Chris and Breezy. And Breezy put for hers, accepting that she deserves a woman like Chris. So maybe past issues in the past, basically where she didn't treat Chris probably good and pushed her away or something like that because she didn't think that she deserved a woman like her. But now she's in the positive now and accepting that a good person like that is something that she deserves just as well. And then Chris, hers was real positive. She didn't have nothing to say about it. And then AJ was like, nah, we can't have this nice this. So the other day I saw Breezy on the elevator and she was smoking a cigarette. So how you feel about that? Chris is like, and it's just like, okay, so do you like it? Are you okay with her smoking? Well, Chris was like, well, she slowed down a bunch because he said, that's not what I asked you. Are you okay? She said, no, I'm not okay with it. I don't like that she smokes. He said, all right, then. So that's what we need to talk about. That's what we need to go about. And then Breezy was like, oh, but she looked all sad, like, oh, but I'm trying to change it. But that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to pull because there's something going on. And then, like, in the confessional, Chris was like, I didn't really want to bring that up. I didn't like she brought that up. But in the same sense, she said that she doesn't have, like her voice was lost in because she really didn't want to say that or bring that up. At the same time, that's an important thing to state, though. So that's one important thing in their relationship, is that Chris is not all the way speaking her truth because she doesn't want issues. She doesn't want conflict. That's what it seems like now. So that's their issue. Chris doesn't speak up enough. She doesn't want to cause conflict. She doesn't want to talk about any issues that may have occurred because she doesn't want to rock the boat too much because she feels their relationship is going well. So she doesn't like to bring things up because she doesn't want to rock the boat. She just proved that this episode. So that was interesting. Then we have Jock and Kendra, per usual. On their wall, Jock is saying pride, control, and scrutiny. And then Kendra's like liar. Same thing, scrutiny. They have like trust issues, stuff like that. So I'm like, but she's still bringing up past stuff. Like Kendra is getting on my nerves. This episode, she was a true irritation. Kendra was irritating my soul this episode. I just was getting so sick of her. She keeps bringing up something that happened years ago, and she's harboring on it and won't let it go. And for me, it's starting to get old. Like, girl, like you either want to be with Jack or you don't. Like, I'm not understanding why you're with someone that you cannot let go of something that you chose to deal with and get past, and then you married him after the fact. So if you had an issue, shouldn't have married him. I'm not understanding that. Then Fat Man and Tiana, and he says they don't trust each other. She says that in Tiana's thing, she has manipulator, liar. I was like, ooh, that's not good. Trust issues. They got a lot going on over there. So they're just, after that situation, they all go to their rooms and they all know that they have a lot to work on. So the next day, Kendra wakes up before Jock and she's feeling positive. He's still asleep. And Shamari is just like, there's more work to do in reference to their relationship. And then the men meet Tony at the gym, and they're working out at the gym. Before that, they have this segment where Shamari and them, they're asking questions, but it was like real fast, so it was just them asking like simple questions to each other. It wasn't really that important. It was like Shamari and Ron, Kendra, and Jock talking about their relationships, how they feel about it and stuff. It was real quick, in my opinion. So the next thing is Tony meets up with the men, and they all go to the gym. And basically, Tony was telling them, like, in his relationship, he felt the only way to be loving to his significant other was for him to work out. And once he worked out, he felt better, and he was able to cater to her and be as good to her, which I find kind of stupid. Like, why do you need to work out to treat someone that you, quote unquote, supposedly love really good? That does not make any sense. So as soon as you wake up, you already got an attitude in the morning. What reason? Like, she hadn't done nothing to you the night before. Why would you have an attitude as soon as you wake up and you're ready to get on her ass? See, that's what I'm saying. I could not be married to... I can't do it with males sometimes. It doesn't make no sense to me. So you need to work out in order to be nice to somebody. So when you don't work out, you're very irritable, stressed out, I guess, and disrespectful and rude to a significant other. So you really don't love the person. Because why would you come at a person like that? That doesn't make any sense. I'm like, okay, Tony, what kind of coaching you doing? And that's the way you feel. Okay. But they were all basically just in the gym talking, and the fat man, he admitted that he cheated due to his ego and that he regrets it, and that the women that he was cheating on, his woman with his wife with, weren't worth it. They weren't worth it. And then Jock was giving him advice that when he thinks he has a wandering eye, so when he deals with his wandering eye, he just looks and he said that that women ain't better than his girl Kendra. They ain't better than her, so it ain't even worth it. So then that's basically he's giving advice. And then they were talking about, basically Jock was talking about when he talks with his significant other, she always feels that she has to prove a point, has to get her point across to prove something that she's because Tony was asking him about the fact of that she's a lawyer, and he says that's when he said she feels that she has to prove a point, to always seem that she's right and to be right all the time, even when she's not right, and that causes them problems a lot. And then Jalen talks about the fact that last night he said that he was going to the casino, and Fallon told him, got mad because he went to the casino, and she told him straight up, you ain't going nowhere. No, you ain't fucking, you ain't going. And he said, yes, I am. And he went, and she got real mad about that. He said that they have, basically, Tony is telling him that they have a power struggle, and that he feels that that's happening with all the couples. It's like a power struggle where they're arguing a lot because there's a struggle between male and female, between them significant others in their relationship, trying to see who's basically superior over the other. Basically, it's them having to fight between who's going to say this right, who's going to be the one that's going to win this argument. It seems like they're trying to prove like, well, I'm right, you're wrong, that kind of thing. And like he said, it has to be mutual submission. Like, both people have to submit to one another and listen to one another and be willing to, when the time is right, is to stop and listen and to understand, mutual understanding, mutual love, mutual respect for one another. It can't be, oh, well, I'm right, well, such and such, well, you're right, such and such. And then Fatman was saying that that he be going at her due to him trying to protect himself, and that to me is not a good thing and not conducive to a relationship. If you're in a relationship with someone and you're whole married with her, you're not supposed to be arguing with her to protect yourself, because you're supposed to be protecting one another. You're not supposed to be protecting your feelings and your heart only, because that's not a marriage behavior. That's a person that's single trying to fight with someone that's their enemy. You're treating her as if she's your enemy or something, and she's not your enemy. She's with you. She's dealing with you. She had 3 kids by you, for you, in a relationship with you. It's a teammate and team effort. It's supposed to be a partnership when you get married to someone. It is not, oh, I'm protecting myself. So you shouldn't be protecting yourself from her. She's not your enemy. That's the part that I'm like, yeah, he needs to learn how to deal with the relationship a whole lot better, because the way he's coming at her is as if she's his enemy when he's the one that's in the wrong. Any their way, he's the one that kind of built most of the problems and the issue, Fat Man. So it's like you fighting with self. That's right there. What you're doing is projection, in my opinion, because you're projecting and trying to protect yourself from her. From what? You need to protect yourself from yourself, because you're causing your own problems in your relationship by doing the infidelity and cheating. You've caused a series of issues that has caused her not to have faith in you or trust you or believe a thing you say out your mouth. Because once you break trust and you've cheated on someone twice, and not only twice, but while she was pregnant, the disrespect. So it's disrespect, it's lying, it's cheating, it's not taking accountability for the fact that you did it. And then when you do take accountability for it, you expect her just to forgive like this, and she's supposed to, it's like it hurts even worse, and it's the stab or the wound is greater because you done did it while she was pregnant with your kids. She's under enough going on in her life, and then she got to deal with you doing that on her while she is pregnant with a baby, while a baby is growing in her, developing in her, and she's going through a lot. And that's the type of shit you doing. So you got to understand that she ain't just gonna be all happy with you like that. Like, yeah, Fat Man was tripping. Then the next thing, Jalen was saying that they had a lot of struggles, and that Jalen was saying that they had a lot of struggles. No, not Jalen, Fallon. Fallon said that they had a lot of struggles, and he has one foot in their relationship and one foot out. So she feels like he's in, because after he had the discussion at the gym, they all left, and that's when he came back and he was talking to her about the casino thing, that they needed to have the discussion because she was really upset with the fact that he went to the casino. Because Fallon feels like we with the kids at home, now that we're at this retreat, me time, we have this alone time. Why you don't want to spend time with me? You want to go down and play some casino instead of being around me. Like, you want to do that, and she's not understanding. So she sat down, she told him straight up, the thing about the casino, I just didn't like the simple fact that you wanted to go down to the casino and I'm here. Like, I'm not understanding that. And then he said, I just didn't like how you were telling me that I couldn't go and I'm not going and stuff like that. I just didn't like that. So they both... And then she was telling him about the intimacy thing. She feels like she got to always initiate it. And she sometimes feels like she has to do things his way or his way or the highway, basically, for intimacy. So she has to wait for him to want it. And then he said, what's wrong with that? And she said, that's kind of wrong, because what about my needs? I have needs. Like, what you mean? So I got to wait till you're ready. So if you're never ready, I'm never ready. Yeah, he sounds like a selfish person to me. I'm not really feeling that attitude. He's very selfish, point blank period. Because when it's convenient for you and you want it, she got to be ready when you ready. But if she wants some, she got to wait all the way till when you're ready. So if you basically not financially good for months and months and months, she's not going to have sex for months and months because you're not ready. Yeah. I don't know about them being together. I don't understand that. That's really weird. And then AJ, like I was telling you earlier, met with Ronnie and Shamari like one-on-one because she wanted to sit down with them because they have a series of more issues now from last, because they were on their last season. So they're back again and they're having a series of issues again. So like the gaslighting thing, she was basically talking to him about that, and she was like, well, gaslighting is when, and I explained to you what gaslighting is, and basically Shamari's not gaslighting, and he allegedly saying he's not gaslighting, but he clearly did gaslight that because he actually exaggerated what was said. She was basically not gaslighting. He was tripping. I don't know what's wrong with him. But Shamari was basically talking about how she wants to get back out there and be on a road and actually go back to doing work. Like, they have 2 children that are pretty very young, and they're basically starting over, basically. So she just feels like she's not getting to do things that she wants. And the AG was kind of reiterating and kind of talking for her, saying that, it's good she's taking care of home and things like that, but she needs to be able to do things for herself, as well as AJ feels like Shamari needs to speak up as well. Like, you need to speak up and speak for yourself and not just sit there and be accepting of what's being done. You need to stand on your word. And she also told him that the way that Ronnie was speaking to her really hurt Shamari for real, because he was like accusing her of stuff that she really wasn't doing. In my opinion, she was not gaslighting him. I'm so sorry. Like, he was gaslighting her, and he was not listening. They both have that issue of not listening to one another, so they both have to kind of be understanding to one another. Okay, so after she meets with them, then they go to the next thing. So it's the next day. So they're on day 2 now. So that was all in day 1. They're basically saying. So day 2, AJ and Tony meet the couples in the room, and they have these headlines for each couple by the press that's occurred. And the first person that they go to is Fat Man and Tiana, and how he lost 100 bands gambling in the issue, and how he was like, he talked about it, and how that was kind of embarrassing to Tiana. He says it's not really a big deal. It's just 100 bands we got through. And she said it is a big deal. It's embarrassing to me, it's to my friends and to my family, to my kids. Like, she said, you lost a lot of money. He said, but I can win it back. But she said, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't be losing that much money. So that's an issue. He has a gambling issue that he needs to deal with. So Tiana, she just feels embarrassed about that, basically. And doesn't feel like it's cool or whatever for him to be losing all that money. And she said that serious, like, he continued to do that kind of stuff with the gambling, that she's gonna, be his ASS over there. Then the headline was Breezy and Chris, and the fact that Chris introduced her son and how she felt about it. And she was like that it felt so amazing for her to be able to bring about showing the love that she has for Breezy and being in that relationship, how much love she had for that. And then Ron and Shamari, they had their headlines. And can they stand the rain at the headline issues with them? But they didn't show the stuff too long, in my opinion. They were going by so fast with the camera. They need to get better at camera crews, because their stuff be going way too quick, mad quick. Like, so Ron and Shamari, basically, Ron was saying if they wouldn't have been through the trials, tribulation, gone through what they went through, they wouldn't be able to be as strong as they are now. With Kendra and Jock, she was just saying that he needs to be accountable for what the headlines are saying about them in the press and stand firm in what has been done and things like that. And then Jock is like, I'm being accountable. I get tired of keep hearing that. And I'm getting tired of hearing her talk about this accountability nonsense. It's like, girl, bye. Like, what are you talking about? So then AJ, after they said that, AJ talked about that they're now going to play 3 rounds of this game where they're going to actually swap couples, and they're actually going to talk to different people, because she feels like when you're in a relationship, it's hard for you to communicate, but when you talk to someone outside of your relationship, you communicate a whole lot better, because they're not your significant other, so it's easier for you to talk and get through it and say what needs to be said. So Fallon was talking, and talking about the issue that she had with her ex-husband and the lying on her, basically him making it seem like she'd been cheating when it was really the other way around, that he had been cheating on her, and that, like, the situation between her and Jalen happened after the fact. It didn't happen like he made it seem, and how he's putting her out there, and how she didn't kind of like it, like, and she felt like it was just basically wrong. And Jalen wanted to say something that he didn't because of her. So they were still doing the headlines. This is before they started the game and switching the couples. So they basically were talking about how Jalen said that he wanted to say something, but he didn't because of her, because she wanted to save face, and she didn't want to get into it with people, because she feels like she shouldn't have to explain herself to people, because it's not that serious. And basically they were doing speed thinking, like I said, and they were switching partners. So Apollo, he was talking with Kendra at first, and he was talking about he was there when he was in the shoe and how that felt to him. And then Kendra was talking about that she liked another artist other than Jock, but that she does love him, but he has an ego thing, and it makes him feel some type of way when she likes other artists, which is real stupid. Then Shamari and Fatman were talking about, like, if he has, like, messages from somebody else and he receives, like, a DM, what does he do? And he said, Fatman was just saying that he makes sure that he blocks the person, he doesn't respond, and he's open and transparent with his wife Tiana about what happened, and he gets that done. Then Breezy and Shamari, and Shamari was asking her question. She was like, "Who's the best kisser?" And Breezy said, "I'm the best kisser." Who said they love you first? And I think she said that Chris said it first. Chris and Ron were talk about when she lost. Basically, Ron was talking to Chris about the fact that, there was a change in their relationship when Shamari had lost a friend, and he did talk to her, but I guess he wasn't there like as much as she needed, and their relationship had a shift because like she was acting different and she was opening up to someone else outside of him, and it kind of made a change in their relationship, which I'm like, okay. So she basically went elsewhere to express herself because she really didn't feel like he was there for her as much as she needed him to. So that was kind of interesting. Then Fallon and Jock were talking, and they said the issues with the tabloids is calling her out, and the fact that the true story wasn't really told, and how Portia's messed up. Like Portia was like kind of hanging out with her. She was befriending her and being her friend, coming over to the house constantly, hanging out with her and coming over her house. And she said that, I have to admit that it still hurts, that she has healing to do, and that basically that Portia and her ex-husband belong together because they're both snakes in the grass, and you don't know when you're gonna get stung or get bit by them because they can't be trusted. They belong together, and how that situation is something that's really big. And then Kendra was speaking to Jalen about her relationship with Jock, basically, and how she feels a certain way about it, embarrassed about the tabloids and things like that. And my whole thing is it's like repetitive with Kendra. She just like keeps continuing on to bring up the same thing over and over again and will not let it go, and keeps like bringing it up. And tonight she was overdoing it. So after they do that, next person that talks is Fallon's talking to Breezy. So she was basically saying that the reason why she wants to get married again is that she can't do the whole dating thing, that she likes to be in a relationship and she just enjoys doing that because it's easier for her. She can't be single, and that she can't be single, and she just wants to build her life with him because she's used to him, everything like that, and she just feels like single life ain't for her. Like being in a relationship is the best thing for her, and that's how she sees it. And Breezy's like, that's the wrong reason to get married to someone, want to build a family and have children with them, because you don't want to stay single, because you still have things to work out, and the things that you've done from before in the last marriage didn't work. So it's not going to work if you're going to go into this trying to do the same things. Like you got to work on, healing, and you definitely got to work on dealing with what happened from before in your past relationship before you can heal and get better in your relationship. Like that's not working. So then after they talk about that, then they finish or whatever, and they ask AJ and Tony, basically asked everybody what they learned. Then Jalen was just saying, I learned a lot about myself and from talking to Jock about that situation, what I went through, and it's making me a better person. And then Kendra was like, oh, that's nice. I'm happy he able to help somebody in their relationship. Okay. And then Jalen was talking about he was finding stuff out as well that helped him as well. So everybody was learning a lot from talking with other people. So then they have this portion where Kendra and Jock meet up, and they're having a discussion. Kendra is talking with him. He's talking with Kendra, and basically Jock says he feels that he's an embarrassment to her, and he feels she's still in the past, and she just seems like she's not even happy to be with him, and he doesn't understand it. And then she said, I am embarrassment. You are an embarrassment to me for what you did, and that's what you're doing. And then he's just like, and then she says, seriously, some of the stuff, like, you make it seem that it's normal, that this is supposed to happen in a relationship, and she starts to yell and stuff. And then he's like, I'm not understanding how I'm not being accountable when I've already said I'm sorry. I've already said what it is. Like, I don't know what more you basically saying what you want from me. And my whole thing with Kendra that I have a total issue and problem with her is she was yelling at this man. This man was not being disrespectful. His tone wasn't loud. He wasn't disrespecting her the whole time. She was the one that was going off and acting crazy and acting like, oh, well, you act. First of all, he never said that was the way relationships is supposed to be. He never even said that during this conversation. He might have said that alone, but she needs to start to live in the present and stop bringing up what he said from before. You're talking about it now. What is he saying now? He ain't saying that. He's being accountable, and he's saying that he was wrong for what he did. But his whole thing is that he doesn't want to keep talking about the same old thing with you. And you want to keep on going and keep on going and keep on bringing it up and keep trying to play the victim. And like he said, you playing it up for the cameras, because I've already been accountable. He said the things that I've said to you off camera, I can say it on camera. But I'm being accountable. You're trying to be in the past. I'm trying to go forward. Then she starts getting all upset with him. No. Let's stop talking about it. It's like she wasn't making no sense. It's like he said, you playing it up for the cameras. You trying to show out right now. And my whole thing is I'm getting kind of tired of her. And then she called him a bitch and stuff. And I said, see, now you going too far. Now you calling him out his name and stuff. Now, if he would have called you out your name, you'd be going crazy. And she said, I could do better on my own. I could do better. He said, then do it. Then try it. Then go ahead. Do what you do. And I said, see, she did to herself, because every time she get mad, she throw in his face that she could do better than him and do something else. Then you should have never married him. I'm tired of her. She either going to get over it and move on from the situation. I know you're hurt about what he did for him cheating or having the baby, and it hurt you. It's understandable for you to be hurt, but that happened way before you married him. So what made you think that if you couldn't get over it before you got married, why did you marry him anyway? Like, it's not making sense why you even married him, and you're a whole lawyer. You like to throw that in his face like you're more accomplished than him or something. Keep bringing up you're a lawyer. Okay, that's good that you're a lawyer, but my whole thing is, if you know your worth and you could do betterer without him, then do betterer without him and go move on to somebody else, because I get kind of tired of hearing how much better you're doing and you can do without Jock. If you could do so much betterer without him, then ma'am, you need to find somebody else. You should have never married him, because to me, I don't even understand why she married him anyway. You marrying him and every day you throwing in his face something that he did years ago. Upset and angry about something that happened in the past. If you can't get over what happened in the past, you should not be dealing with it. It's that simple as day. So that's my feelings with the episode. So next episode is going to get even juicier. We're going to get deeper and more information about the Tiana and fat man thing situation. So we're going to understand more deep in depth her feelings of what he did and how it is manifesting and affecting their relationship. So this is Goddess. And like, comment, subscribe, and tell me what you think of this episode of Couples Retreat, Season 3, Episode 2. Thank you. Talk to you later.